to another episode of the Route 77 podcast. Today, you're in for an enlightening conversation. We will dive into something we all face, the complexities of decision-making. From personal food preferences to profound life choices, we will share our unique experiences and challenges. Monique will also touch your hearts with the miraculous story of her daughter's health crisis and the difficult decisions she had to navigate, highlighting the profound role of faith in her choices. So sit back and join us as we explore the everyday and extraordinary decisions we make and how they shape our lives and faith. You're not going to want to miss this. Welcome to the Route 77 podcast. I am Natasha, your host. I am here with Monique.
Hello.
And David.
Hello.
And I have a question for you.
Okay.
Where should we go for dinner?
Oh, I don't know. If I were to make the choice, I'd want to go to Kozak. Kozak?
Kojan.
Can never say it because I love that restaurant. It is my favorite restaurant. But you want to go to Boston Pizza because you like the triple play. So then it's just like when you ask me, where do we want to go? It's just like, I don't know.
How about you, David? Where would you go for dinner?
Any place with a steak.
Any place with steak.
Steak. I haven't had steak in a long time.
Any place that has any form of meat, chicken wings, steak, ribs. I am happy. That's all it takes to make me happy.
Now I have a weirder question. Where would you like to be buried one day? What do you think, David?
It honestly doesn't matter. I never really put thought into that. I don't think anyone really puts thought into that, but...
How about you, Monique? Where would you like to be buried one day?
In the ocean.
In the ocean. There you go. No pause at all. She had it.
Yep. Sprinkle my ash in the ocean.
Oh, that's not being buried. You're not being buried. You're floating on top of the ocean. When Natasha said buried, I thought you weren't cremated at all. You were just, your whole body was lowered into a pit and you put dirt on top of that thing.
So I know these are weird questions to pop out at the beginning of a podcast, but I wanted to talk about decision making today. And these are some decisions, even though they're weird and wonky, but that people have to make in their lifetime or generally make in their lifetime. Some people just do not care about where they're buried and they just die and that's it. They're like, you figure it out. But as a single person, decision making has like a little bit of a different flavor, I feel, because if you're in a family, if you're married or you're still living with parents or something like that, there's like a communal decision making. If you're living with your parents, then the parents make most of the decisions in the house. And as you get older, if you do get married and you have kids, you're making decisions based on your spouse or if you're dating, if you're boyfriend and girlfriend, you make decisions based on what's best for your children. If you have children, there's all these sorts of things there. And yes, there are single people that can be parents. So yeah, there's some of those decision making will still be there where you're making decisions that will be in the best interest of your children. But when you're single, there tends to be a lot of decision making that goes on from the smallest things like what am I going to eat today to the big things like what job should I get, which bill should I pay first, and it can lead to some interesting like positive and negative because it's just like there's a nice part of being able to just choose whatever you want. You don't have to think about everything. Like when you decide to go to grab food on the way home, you get to choose whatever you want. You don't. There's not a group discussion.
Like today on the way home, It was almost 9:00, and I just drove through the McDonald's drive-through because I was hungry all of a sudden. I just wanted a burger.
But then there also can be the stressful part of making huge decisions, life-changing decisions by yourself. And Monique experienced some of that recently with her daughter having this surgery and having to make decisions on what she thought would be best for her daughter, but it was basically her decision.
Yeah.
It came down to her deciding.
Yeah. With other doctors looking at me like I was crazy and trying to do a heroic thing that was not going to be worth the effort.
And plus
that was the feeling I was getting.
Yeah. And plus you get you try to talk with people, but you're going to get different views, right?
Yep.
And ultimately you had to make the decision.
Ultimately I had to make the final decision and it did not come without a whole lot of prayer behind it.
I don't understand why people would perceive her in that way, because there is no circumstance in which a mother would say no to something that had even the slightest possibility to save their child's life.
Yeah. Yeah. But at the time when I was making the decision, I didn't have that. No, because it was inoperable and palliative care and don't even bother. And I had to fight for her to get a second opinion. And then when I got the second opinion, the doctor that I had to fight with was still, well, there's no guarantee he's going to do it. It's just like, and the look he kept giving me was like, you're basically sending her to an early death. That's pretty much the feeling that he kept giving to me.
Yeah.
So I was wrestling, do I do this operation that could potentially kill her right there and then, or do I just let her try to live out for as long as she possibly can with this tumor in her head? Prayer just kept giving me different signs, like the one,
Feeling.
like the one lady who came in and said, "Oh, did you know that her name means miracle in my language?" And I'm like, "What?" And that this doctor would actually be willing to do the surgery.
Yeah. And it came off as very like positive about it.
Yeah, he was very confident about it. He totally calmed us right down about it. Said that had she not responded to the steroids that was supposed to reduce brain swelling, that actually woke her up and she became almost like her normal self, he wouldn't have considered it. So then we're sitting there going, and the biggest thing that made me think that I was making the right decision is that, and I didn't think about it at the time, I did, but I went, don't be superstitious, because her surgery was on Thursday, and on Wednesday, when Mom and I were driving home from the Royal Columbian Hospital, there was a massive rainbow, 2 of them. And one of them, it was so bright, and everybody who had posted pictures kept saying, we have never seen such a bright rainbow before in our lives. And even Mom and I were like, look at how bright it is. It's just amazing.
Mhm.
And in my heart, I could hear I was thinking, Lord, is that your promise to me? And then don't be superstitious.
Yeah.
Came right on the heels of that.
But yeah, God can give you a feeling of
Yes,
peace in the moment. And the rainbow is a reminder of God's promise.
God's promise.
And it might have been a promise that had nothing to do with you specifically. No, but it's a reminder that God keeps his promises.
That God keeps his promises. Yeah. Yeah. So, and even the day of the surgery, we're still very worried and very scared. And there were a lot of things that happened in between. They were sitting there going, oh, is this the stress? You were there.
Yeah.
You felt the stress. And then to have the doctor come out in the end saying, yeah, no, we're putting her in recovery. She'll be up into her room soon. And it's all
Looking good.
It's all looking good. And we're just like, yeah, we all cried and hugged. And
So yeah, this is just so as single people, we'll be called on to make decisions.
yep.
And again, they can be very small decisions like, what clothes should I wear today? Should I buy this thing? Or it's bigger things like, I'm coming to the point where I'm going to need a personal vehicle. I'm like, do I try to just put money together and get a clunker so that paid off? Or do I just go for a car loan? Or do I try to go somewhere in the middle and borrow some money so that I can buy like a little more expensive used car? And there's so many options, but like ultimately I can ask for opinions, but ultimately like the decision is going to be up to me, and I'm going to be the one responsible for
Whatever
the consequences of whatever the decision is.
What do you want?
So David, what do you think? How do you have lots of decisions to make in your life as a single man?
Nothing spectacular, just kind of like minor daily things. Nothing that equates to Monique's decision.
No life-changing, altering. We had to when we bought the house.
I guess the closest thing that I'm struggling with probably right now is the state of my business, whether or not I should actually close down my baby or not.
Yep.
That's something but again, that doesn't hold a candle to decisions in regards to actual life.
No, but it is your life and it's your decisions, and it's something that you put your heart into and your work, and you've got to make. And ultimately, it's your decision whether you try to keep going or you put it on pause or you close it down completely.
Yeah.
Even the courses that you have to take in university, those can be difficult choices as well. Which university to go to? What courses do you take?
especially if you look at like, I guess when I choose courses, when I have to decide on course, I have to decide whether I want to actually take this course. And if I take this course, maybe I can't take another course I like because, okay, for example, English or maybe a kind of business that doesn't particularly relate to my specific field. I know that I'm going to have to do a bit more work or try to find motivation for those courses in a way. So a decision to take one of those courses would just mean that I have to make a decision whether I have the energy this term or not to actually put in the required effort or the time.
You had to make that.
So I have to,
So which courses were you thinking? Like business courses?
primarily it's going to be either statistics, so math, or English courses. Business courses are fine. I'm finding the first year one kind of boring, but it's a requirement so that I can move up into like entrepreneurship
Right.
courses. This just show you how to manage teams, groups, and ownership businesses. And then there's another one I wanted to take, which I couldn't take, and that's nonprofit management, ownership, etc., which I thought would fit well within the ministry. Yeah, but unfortunately it was full up, so I had to find other courses.
So that's like some of the things. We also like, for me, a difficult everyday decision is my food intake because it's usually the wrong decision.
I feel you on that.
Part of the problem is that you don't cook for yourself.
No, and part of that is because I don't have the time to.
That too.
I'm working from one job to the other. You don't like, you maybe have half an hour if I'm fortunate between the two jobs.
Yep. And then by the time you come home, who wants to cook anything?
Yeah, like the easiest thing is like toast or whatever. And then you're eating late at night and then you're eating
Bachelor related food, pasta, butter, and cheddar cheese.
But even I'm finding that, especially now, really difficult, number one, to eat, because when you're that stressed, food is the last thing you think about until your stomach says, hey, we're here still. But even still, like when I do have time off, I'm so tired that I don't even, the very thought of making something is, yeah. So it's, yeah, balancing that work life is.
Maybe we should go back and listen to our podcast on that.
Like, dear. Right now, we're also in that in-between stage too, where we're transitioning from one job to another job.
Yeah.
You before me.
Yeah. But hopefully in the near future.
Yeah.
We said in the next year.
Yeah. Because having time freed up will definitely make a big difference.
Yeah. Because then you can actually get the motivation to do it and plan it out and actually be in a house with an oven and a stove and an Instapot and stuff instead of just being on the road basically all the time.
And that was another big decision that we had to make as single people, moving into a house together, buying a house, going through the whole process. That was a huge decision. It was very stressful.
Yeah.
Because we were basically coming from two households, two not really strangers, but strangers.
Yeah, we didn't know each other that well.
We didn't know each other that well.
I mean, 12 Days in Korea did a lot, but not everything.
Yeah.
There's a huge difference in you probably see maybe 25% of one's personality outside of the home environment.
Yeah. So it was a little bit stressful in that too. Are we going to get along? What if we don't get along? We've just committed to buying a house. Oh dear.
Are we both responsible people? You're trying to take that on the face value, right?
Yeah.
But that can work in benefit though. Because now you got both of you guys making sure both of you are responsible.
Yeah, and that's where we can talk about how having accountability and people around you, support people around you does really help. As I said, when it comes to our house finances, we're doing fine. It's our own personal finances that we struggle with because, again, there's no counter to what we do.
Right.
I want this, therefore, other than the voice in your head telling you not to do it, you're just like, why not? And then it's harder than if you had with spouse where all your money is together and you need to be more accountable to each other.
I figure if the mortgage is paid, the gas, the lights, TV, and insurance and all that is paid, then anything else is gravy anyways. Although you've got the car.
What?
And the gas.
Food? What about food? That's what's on my top list. Is if I can pay my internet, my phone, and the rent.
Well, We do get a few things out of the shared when it's a shared thing that
Like
we're
staples.
staples, milk because we share the milk and bread and stuff like that. We've
Cooking
got
stuff. Yeah.
Yep. It's when we go to, but for our own personal use, we buy that separately. So we will make sure that we have at least bread and milk.
Get a little bit of bread and butter and if we need to.
Apparently,
Food tablets.
The other
Just go pure tablet.
forget
Like,
about food. Just get like the
oh, and stuffing.
all the stuffing, lots of stuffing because we
Lots
like
of stuffing.
stuffing.
stuff you guys on.
It does help having that accountability there.
Yeah.
For those things. Not that I don't know if like in real life with only ourselves we would be like, oh, forget the rent. But it does make you a little more like aware of what money's coming out of the joint account.
Yeah.
Than our own account.
So we hold ourselves accountable in that respect. Yeah.
So this is where it becomes difficult when it comes to those things because you're very autonomous.
Yep.
When it comes to those things. And it's just,
And it's easy to let it slide.
yeah, it's easy to be like, this one thing and it's been a hard week or it's whatever. And there's always a reason.
There's always a reason. Yeah.
And yeah, for me, when I got Zeus, that was a decision I made. It was like one of the first decisions I made as a single person. And because my ex was always like, no, we can't afford a dog for 10 years. And then I was like, you know what? I don't have to ask his permission. I'm getting a dog.
The stupid thing is that after he left you, he got himself a dog.
I know.
What?
Yes. Before he knew I bought a dog, because he's like, oh, I bought a dog. And I'm like, oh, so did I.
Just treat your pets like they're your kids because I was talking for Thanksgiving. My grandfather came over and he was talking about like his life. It's like I had 8 siblings. I'm like, what? How did your parents handle that? And because my mother's side was very poor, so everything was DIY in their household, and it was amazing that I think when you have from what he told me, when you have a lot of kids, it just always seems to work out.
I know my brother and sister-in-law, like with the 7 kids, like they work it all. But my sister-in-law works out everything. Like when it comes to say the menu, she'll work out the menu for the week. And then she'll decide like what does she need, or she'll look at what's on sale and then make her menu based on it. But then she'll look and find coupons or sales for everything that she needs. But as a single person, there's not that tendency to find those savings. You're like, oh, if I happen to find a flyer and I get $1 off, well, okay. But when you have a family, especially when a large family, and you start buying stuff in bulk, you're much more aware of those things.
Or you get software to automate that for you.
I hate flyers. I hate flyers. I hate cutting coupons. I know somebody who made it. Yeah, their whole existence was coupon. And they were going to the grocery store with fistful of coupons, but it worked for them because it was just like, yeah, I think I paid like $1.50 for this shopping cart full of groceries. And you're like,
they just
what?
Can have this magic touch with them. And that's why I do like the Flip app, because when there is something that I'm looking for, like that's the normal. I remember when I was trying to find an air purifier, like I just go on there and find whatever ones are on sale and look at the prices and stuff. Because then, so the Flip app, if people want to know, it's FLIP.
Yep.
And it's all your flyers for your area.
Yeah.
And you can
all the grocery stores and other major
all the
box
ones,
office,
everything that
all
you
of
get
them.
flyers, and then you can clip the quote unquote clip the ads in there so you can find them again and you can show them at places that price match, like Walmart, and it's just like having the flyers except easier.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it will search for online deals as well, which is where I got the coffee table, because I found the online flyer. Oh, and the foot
thing.
Yeah, foot thing. That's the technical term. Thing has a circulation, but revive
something like that.
Anyway, I found it the cheapest on Flip because
sure makes your feet feel fuzzy.
Yes,
but yeah. So there are all these little. As a single person, it's when you're married with kids, I guess you've got more an incentive to need to have to, because you've got with your brother and his wife, he works, she's at home taking care of 7 kids.
Yeah.
But because they're on a limited budget, that in that respect, they do have to make sure that they have all the boxes checked and all the, because you can't just go willy-nilly.
Exactly. And it does help when you have, I think Chapin's probably fine with his finance, but Juliana tends to handle them because she's doing a lot of the everyday stuff. But she's very good with money.
She could teach me a thing or two.
Yeah. And so but that's one thing. That's the difference between people who are married and have kids and people who are single. These are some of the things that you just don't develop, or you don't, because you may be naturally good at something, but you can still become good at something you're not naturally good at by practice and discipline, self-discipline.
I think that's the key thing there, is that self-discipline. And as a single person, if you don't develop that discipline, it can be very difficult to develop it later on in life. And so while you're young and still able to learn things easier, it's
hint, David, you have a better chance than we do.
I'm a lost cause. No,
you're a young pup. That's so good.
I don't think I'm that young anymore. I'm a couple years off there.
But there are also financial advisors, people who can help you to develop a budget, how to manage your money. If your debt is out of control, they can help you get that under control. Because in this day and age where credit card, people we'll try this one. Oh, that one didn't work. Try this one. Oh, that one didn't work. What about this one? It's like, what are you doing with so many credit cards?
Everybody keeps asking me if I want a credit card. I'm like, no, I have a hard enough time with the one I have. I don't need more.
I say the exact same thing.
You can fix today, yeah, but in the long run, it won't save me any money.
No, because eventually.
So,
yeah.
Doesn't it cost you money to get a financial advisor?
Some do, and there's some people who can offer it. But if you want to get a good one, it might cost you that to get a good person to help you get going.
Yeah.
So let me get this straight. You got to make the decision to go further in debt in order to fix your debt.
There are people, they're called debt management advisors. And what they do is they consult, there is a fee, but they consolidate all your debt so that you can pay it off. You have to give up. It doesn't, because what they do is they work on a system that enables you, it reduces your interest. So you're giving up your credit card, pretty much. And you're living within a specific, so you've got a specific amount that you can handle to pay off every month. And that you're paying that off to whatever financial institute. You're not paying that off to the debt advisor.
No, they've gotten you that loan.
They have talked to the banks and have gotten it to, this is what you're paying off. So it's more manageable for you, but you're advised to get rid of your credit cards.
Yeah. Yeah. So that you don't exacerbate it.
Yeah. So you don't end up and a lot of people do that when they're at the verge of bankruptcy in order to be able to avoid having to go into bankruptcy. If you're not at that stage, but you do see that your credit is getting out of hand, there are places, what's his name? I think his name is Ramsey. The kitchen guy.
Not Gordon.
No, not Gordon Ramsay. It's a different one. But he has the Financial Institute. And these are DVDs and a booklet. And he walks you through developing, because he believes that we do not need to have credit cards or credit at all, that you can actually just live off of the money that you make, but you have to work it off of the budget.
And the problem is we get ourselves so far in debt that, you theoretically could live off of what you're making, but you still got to pay off that debt.
Yeah. 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 So rather than, and he says most of your income is being wasted on paying interest rates. So in order to stop that, he says, this is how you pay off all your credit cards. He says, pay them off, cut them up, get rid of them, and just start living off the money that you're making on your job. And you develop a budget. What do you make? What are your expenditures? And what can you get rid of that's over and above that's
unnecessary, and that's...
Yeah, exactly.
And in this day and age, there's so many things that can do that.
Yeah.
Because you get Netflix, Disney Plus.
Oh, no.
There's so many, Amazon Prime. You get so many things.
And which ones are you actually watching?
Yeah, like we watch Disney Plus like once a month, maybe. We feel like
Was for one movie of what?
that's pretty much what it's happening. I watch BritBox on Amazon Prime, so I do pay a fee on top of Amazon Prime to have the BritBox, about $8 a month. But that is what I exclusively watch.
Yeah. I will. Yeah.
So just lots of decisions, and it can be very tough for single people because we don't have that. Like I said, when you have that sense that you're accountable to people, even if it's a people that are below you in a sense where like your children, where they're not paying anything, but you need to you're accountable to them in a sense that you have to keep them fed and clothed and a house over there. And if you choose to have them do extracurricular activities and all these things, so you're forced to be more responsible with what you're doing.
Yep.
And we're like, with Monique and I, we definitely know that's an area we need to work on, but it's difficult. And this is why it's really important to get people around you who can speak to you on things and be honest with you on things and help you make the really big decisions.
And as a Christian, one of the big decisions is tithing too. So if you're not really good with your finances, are you leaving anything? And it's really not supposed to be leaving anything because you're supposed to take it
from the
first.
first fruits. Yeah.
Yeah. But then if you're sitting there going, I've got this bill, that bill, this bill, that bill, and this credit card, and there's nothing left over that's supposed to have gone to God.
And we need to remember that this is God's giving this to us as a gift, and we are just holding it for Him, essentially.
We're supposed to use it wisely.
We're supposed to steward it. The stewardship is the thing. And I think even I will admit, I don't think about it that way often enough. Ever. Until we're talking about it.
Let's be truthful. Do you think ever?
And if you thought about it in that way, that might help you as well. Kind of go, hey, wait, if then you were like, you had to go to your parents with how you spent your money. We're like, why don't you have money for whatever it is I gave you? And then that might be like a different accountability. And if you have to go to God, and even though God knows, He goes, what happened to the money I gave to you?
And it's really, when you have somebody who, wants to help you put your finances together, and now you're accountable to give an account of so how much do you make? Oh, what are you spending it on? And then you're sitting there going,
what am I spending it on?
Do I make that much that makes you think that I'm spending too much?
Yeah. And then, so money obviously is a lot of decision making because we're talking about,
and money is a tough one too, because a lot of people get a little bit prickly when they start talking about finances. Defensive, yeah, because it's mine. I worked hard for this. I should be able to do with it what I want to do with it, until it starts becoming a problem. And then you're sitting there going, so now what do I do?
It's interesting. If you think about how we spend money, and maybe we in general, or it could be us, but in general, and imagine a person having a drink of alcohol in the same way.
Yeah.
It's just another drink. Like, it's not a big deal.
It's not that I'm addicted.
Yeah. And what would we think of that person, or what would she suspect that person might be if they just kept drinking and drinking and drinking?
Yep.
And we'd be like, you're an alcoholic. And eventually after, it's just one more. It's just one more. It's just a little bit like, I've had a hard day, and all the same kind of reasonings we give for spending the money. I need it. And like everything. And if you put it in that perspective.
Mom was saying that my brother Dan hates spending money. He needs to buy a new car. He doesn't want to have a car payment. Mom says he's got enough money to buy a car right out, but he just doesn't want to have a zero bank account. Maybe I need to adopt that.
But that can go the other way too.
Yes.
Where you become so tight-fisted
that you don't
spend like that parable where the guy was just like, here's your money. I didn't do anything with it. I stuck it in the ground. I made sure, here it is, every last cent, we count it. He's like, that's not why I gave it to you.
You could have at least put it in the bank so it collect interest.
Yeah, like anything.
Yep.
And so do we do that with our decision making? Are we making a decision? Because any decision, forget money specifically, any decision we make, we should be accountable to God.
Mm-hmm.
We are accountable to God for.
Yeah.
And like he has developed a certain sense of support it's in a family situation, that's in a family.
Yeah.
Where you have a shared support of the husband and wife, and that this is an ideal, like how God designed it, and with children, and there's like a certain amount of earthly accountability that you feel. And yet we do have a heavenly accountability of every decision that we make.
Yeah.
Like God has given us this life. He has given us every single thing that we have, even though we earn it, like we work for it and things like that. He has given it to us. And how is it that we spend, and I don't mean money, spend our life in a sense of money? Like, how do we spend the time that we have? How do we spend the physical money that we have? How do we spend if we're a parent, like, how do we spend that title around us?
Yeah. Reading the Bible, praying. How do you spend that? And a lot of people think, I'll read a couple of lines and thank you, God, and off you go.
Of your emailed verse of the day. And again, it's preferable to nothing, but sometimes, like, though, when we do spend our time, like if our time was little coins, little tokens, like you go to the fair and you start paying slots, are you putting it in the slot for God first?
Yeah. I'm spending my whole day, like I get to work at 7 a.m. and I don't get home until 9 p.m. and I just don't have time.
Yeah.
Are you spending all your time doing something like that? Where is your time being spent? So that is another hard decision.
Yes, because it's so easy to get sucked into video games, playing games,
watching TV,
sleeping. When you're single, you can get your whole schedule.
Even doing something that's good for you, like going to the gym, working out. Do you spend all your time there?
You're like, oh, I have some free time, I'm going there. And then where else are you spending it in all the right places? Like you can take, or is anything that you're doing at a sort of like,
is it an escape?
Yeah. Is it an escape, or is it to the detriment of something else? Because it can be like something that's not necessarily a bad thing.
That comes down to the self-care part, because a lot of times as a single person, we can let that slide. We don't take care of ourselves. We don't do the necessary personal, like, I don't know if you've ever walked past the person going, when was the last time you had a shower? Oh dear. That kind of thing too. If you're a single person, take good care of yourself. Your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit. Take good care of it.
Yeah.
Eat properly. And yes, I'm pointing my fingers at you.
Yes, I know.
Monique,
but it's
the one
it's
who
the
just
same
ate
for me,
McDonald's.
because I'm spending so much time at the hospital that my body is feeling it. I need to make sure that I sleep properly, because if I don't get enough sleep, I will feel that in my body. You can get sick faster. It's just like, I just want to stay up until 3 a.m. watching TV or playing video games. And I got to get up at 6. But if you do that on a regular basis, eventually your body's going to quit on you and you're going to get sick. Mm-hmm. So you've got to make sure that you get a proper amount of sleep. If you're having a diet, like eating properly is a struggle, make sure you have stuff that will help you to maintain some of your health, whether it's having to take vitamins, have fruit available, milk, because we like it. Even some of those little things. Taking care of your physical body by doing even light exercises. There are all sorts of ways of doing easy exercises if exercising is not something you want to do. Dancing in your living room to your favorite music while you're cleaning the house works too.
Yeah.
And keep yourself clean. Take a shower, use deodorant, brush your teeth. Let me tell you, as a person, teeth is the first thing I notice. If you're going to smile at me and I see green things growing out of your teeth, I'm pretty sure to throw up on your shoes. I'm sorry. I can't help it. But even it makes you feel better too. If you don't take care of yourself. Mom used to tell me that the same thing. If you're feeling depressed, she says, take a shower. You'll feel better for it.
And if you're like a journal type person, maybe at the end of the day, just make a point, even points of some decisions that you've made that day. And as if you are accountable to God for them, but like you're presenting them to God, saying, these are the decisions I made today. And you're going to think, literally, you're going to think like a parent's looking at you going, why did you make that decision?
Yeah.
And then maybe it helps to like open up some of the things that you shove your conscience down when you do make the decisions.
They say that the person you lie to the most is yourself. And it's so easy to make a promise to yourself and break it. So we are the worst to ourselves.
Every morning I get up and I tell myself I can nap later.
Natasha needs a nap for her.
I'm like, you can have to go to work. You can nap when you get home. I can never have time to nap when I get home. I lied to myself and tell me I can do it later.
I keep telling my feet that eventually they'll feel better, but yeah, they're still asking when that's going to be.
I'm waiting for you to fulfill that promise.
Yeah. But I even tell myself that I'm going to get more fit. I'm going to lose weight.
Today, I'm like, I'm not going to I'm just going to start eating better. I'm not eating better. I'm going to start eating better.
Are you?
Yeah.
What did you have for dinner?
McDonald's. After I decided I was going to eat better.
Yeah.
It's easier to say you're going to eat better when you're full than when you're like really hungry.
So we are horrible liars to ourselves. And we need to stop doing that.
You know what, Natasha? What you do is you look at your bank statements and you look and you add up every McDonald's meal
Yes.
for 1 month. I did that with Skip the Dishes. Oh man, did I stop using that app? It helps. It really puts stuff into perspective if you just look at how much you're actually spending and use that as a motivational factor.
Because it was one thing when you had like physical cash in your wallet. And then even back when you would do things and it would be in your bank account.
Don't carry cash.
Actually, there is a reverse psychology to that. If you carry cash, especially if you carry cash in large denomination, you will find it harder to break that. You will actually think twice before you do that because there's something that says that, no, that's a $50 bill. And that's only $1.
But even if you told yourself like, oh.
Yeah, no, Monique, I know what you mean. I'm like, I got $20, but if I buy this, then I'll have 17. And then that odd number just bugs me for the rest of the day.
Even like the fact that you say, I have like $100.
Yeah.
And I go, this is what I have for food this week for when I'm out. Then you start going, I only have $20 left or whatever nearing to the end. And you're going, do I really need that? Or can I just get that? And then tomorrow I'll still have money for it. You start to, it's different than if it's just magically happening when you tap your debit card.
When you tap your card, you don't see it happening.
Yeah.
But when you've got that $20 bill that you've got to hand over, you're seeing it. So it's a little bit of and that's what, I think his name is Dave Ramsey, if I'm not mistaken. And that's his premise too. He says, you have an envelope and you have envelopes, and in each envelope is the money that you have allotted to pay for certain things. And you don't touch those envelopes because that's what those are for. And you have the one envelope that is your allowance. And he says it's different when you've got it. And he says most people, by the time they come around to when they have to they've got money still in that envelope because it's harder to spend that because you're seeing it go up the floor.
Yeah.
Go down.
And I think too, a lot of times people don't budget themselves an allowance.
No, they don't.
So they're listening. They're like, I gotta do something, or I just want to have Starbucks coffee, and then it becomes. But if you actually budget yourself like $50 for the week to do whatever you wanted to do with, then you'll be less likely to splurge out on every day.
And I can pretty much.
It's different than making the budget and actually doing the budget.
Yes, yeah. And consistently doing
doing it.
Because I can't tell you how many times I made the budget, but it never followed.
And that's another one of those lies that we tell ourselves. I'm going to follow a budget, and then we don't.
I have the self-control to do this. I have the willpower. Sounds like looking at the wrong person to motivate us to be this. It became that way with the devotions. Like we both struggled with having devotions and doing devotions. And now here we are almost a year of doing devotions every single night, pretty much, just with the odd time when I was sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
even when I'm sitting at the hospital with my daughter, we're still doing it.
FaceTime.
Yeah.
We're not in the same province. FaceTime.
Yep.
Every single night for almost a year now.
Yep.
And So it's possible when you have that support to create these good habits. We just need to figure out how to translate that into our finances.
And other things.
It's like FaceTime each other. I want to buy a McDonald's. Tell me now.
No,
Woo, get me one too.
pretty much.
No.
It's the convenience. What shocked me was the cost of the burger. Because when I saw how much the burger was, I was going,
They have gone up.
How much did your burger cost? Because I looked at prices when I was a kid. It was like $1.99 for a burger, and it's $6.
To get the quarter pounder meal at McDonald's was with the fries and the normal size drink. So the normal meal was 15 something. So almost $16.
I bought the quarter pounder with the BLT, quarter pounder BLT. It was almost $9 just for the burger. What the heck? I could make it at home. Give me a
But then I need to go and buy the hamburger, and then I got to cook the hamburger, and then I got hamburger buns, and then I have to find all the condiments.
See, we're paying for convenience.
Yeah.
But even going out to the restaurant now, any dish is going to be at least $20. You're paying for convenience. Time to start cooking at home, Tim.
Yes.
I need to be home to do
Just
that.
give me like 2 months and 9 days.
2 months and 9
That's
days.
when I'm finished with having 2 jobs.
It'll be a little bit longer than me, but for myself, because working at the Taekwondo studio, we'll be home earlier because I won't have to stay till 9 o'clock like you do. So I can technically come home in front of them.
But if I'm home, then I can theoretically
get some
going.
If Monique cooks, Natasha buys the ingredients.
There you go.
That's what I do with my roommate.
But even if you put something together in the slow cooker,
Yeah.
then it'll run by the time you get home.
Put a chicken in the slow cooker. Wait, 11 in the morning, and you got dinner.
Yeah. Do soups and stews. And I know somebody who made spaghetti in their Instapot. I'm not sure how that worked out, but okay then.
What? That works.
I don't know. He said they just threw everything in there, put the lid on, and called it good. And I'm like,
Send it on the pressure cooker with some moisture, maybe. I don't
how
know.
do you mix that up? But there are many easy, quick recipes.
It's
You
funny,
just
like
have
we
to
talk
search
about
them
like
up.
convenience and like with some of the stuff they have now, like the Instapot and the air fryer, like they're actually is pretty convenient comparatively.
Yep.
You can do a lot of tossing in and
Yeah.
it becomes a meal.
Yep. And even if you prepare things and have them in the freezer, then
That's a problem with me. I cannot handle a frozen food.
You have to do it.
No. Yeah, I have to eat it fresh. Lasagna is the worst for me. My mom makes a really good lasagna, but I cannot eat it if it's frozen overnight.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
So yeah, so lots and lots of decisions that we have to make every single day. And
some of them huge.
and some of them teeny weeny and inconsequential, seemingly inconsequential.
But every decision will have an impact on your life regardless.
Yeah. And we are accountable to God for every decision that we make.
Yep. Yeah.
And we need to understand that more. I think.
Yeah. And I think we don't, because like when I was making this decision regarding my daughter, I think I remember telling you that God will honor the decision I make, good or bad.
Because you did it with your whole heart.
Because I did it with my whole heart. Yeah.
And putting it before him and taking the statements of those around you and like you did all
weighing
the
all
things
the
that
pros
you could
and
do.
cons. Yeah. And talk to other believing Christians and just please just hear me out and give me your thoughts. And I remember when I was talking to Teresa and I was just, and this, and then there's this, and she's the healthiest she's ever been in her whole entire life. And Teresa said to me, says, it sounds like you've already made your decision. I guess I have. So I knew it was a no-brainer to go ahead with it. I think I was just scared.
Are you making a pun?
Yeah.
No brainer.
No-brainer.
For brain surgery?
For brain surgery. Yeah. The funny thing is that people are asking, how is it that you went from an inoperable brain tumor and she had to go into palliative care to having brain surgery, having the tumor removed, and now on the road to recovery? And all I can say is God.
Ultimate author of life.
Yes. Creator of all things.
And
the
Father who we are accountable to.
Yeah. Yeah. Praise God. Praise God.
Sustainer of life.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
once he created it, he sustains it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but it's actually really cool because we started off with the first podcast being the prayer requests.
Yeah.
And you could hear my voice, the struggle and the sadness that I was feeling, to the one from last week where we were talking about that this was something we were going ahead with and how much we were dealing with and what I was dealing with. And you can still hear it some in my voice. And I'm sitting there after the Thursday and they're going, boys, people are going to be shocked when they hear our podcast because they're probably, what happened? This is what happened.
Three-parter.
Yep. God is good. All the time.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. You made a very wise decision to listen to our podcast. And we would ask you to decide to tell other people about our podcast.
Yeah, that's another good decision.
Yes. Yes, you could be feeling great now.
All these good decisions.
Great decisions.
We thank you very much for listening. And if you want to contact us, please find us on Facebook, Instagram, and X. And our email is route77ministries@gmail.com. That's ROUTE 77ministries@gmail.com. And yeah, we'll see you all here next time. See you later.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
What a journey today's discussion has been. From the simplicity of choosing cooking gadgets to the harrowing decisions concerning life and health, we have gone through the labyrinth of small and large choices that construct our daily lives. Monique's heartfelt story is a testament to the miracles that faith and decisive action can bring about, serving as an inspiration to us all. As we conclude, we're reminded that every decision, no matter how small, has an impact and remains accountable to our Heavenly Father. We hope today's episode has inspired you, provoked a deep thought, and perhaps given you a new perspective on the decisions you face daily. Don't forget to spread the word about our podcast and feel free to connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, or X. Or email us at route77ministries@gmail.com. That's ROUTE 77ministries@gmail.com. Until next time, keep navigating the path of wise decisions and remember to live your single life to its fullest.